Welcome everybody to Funeral Nation episode 106. I'm Ryan Thogmartin. That is Jeff, the funeral commander Harbison. Mr. Harbison, who powers this show?
Hey, you know what? Nobody better than C&J Financial and Jamie and his team. You know, I talk about this every week. I have clients here at the Foresight companies that had accounts receivables. They had issues going on. But through our training and coupled with Jamie and his team taking care of those insurance policies getting paid quickly, there's no better. So anyway, how about share a little bit about C&J here?
What payment method do you prefer families use for your goods and services? Most funeral homes and cemeteries prefer cash check or credit card over life insurance as the preferred method of payment. However, families who use life insurance are able to purchase the funeral service of their choice and spend 31% more on your goods and services. By encouraging more families to pay with insurance, you can create a better experience for the family and become more profitable without increasing your call volume. The reason most firms prefer cash check or credit card over life insurance is that insurance companies are a hassle to deal with, and payment can often take weeks or months to receive. With C&J Financial, you can receive funding within 24 hours of verification of benefit, thereby eliminating the hassle, headache, and cash flow delay in processing insurance death claims. Let us show you why hundreds of funeral homes all across America choose C&J for their assignment funding needs, and why many associations, accounting firms, and industry leaders recommend C&J to their clients and members.
Fantastic. We're super blessed to have C&J as a continued title sponsor for the effing show. All right, in the news, you're going to cover the news today.
Yeah, it's today is actually big news. This week, the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals up in Michigan made a ruling in favor of the funeral director who brought a EEOC complaint against Harris Funeral Home. Basically, it was about sex discrimination, which is not only from the gender side of transgender, but also with clothes, who's being paid what. Mm-hmm. And so it was pretty in-depth. And rather than go through too much of it, my comment is that human resources, I talk about this often, you may have an employee handbook, but if it's more than 2 years old, it's out of date. It's a fluid document. It's something that changes time with state regulations and federal regulations, sexual harassment issues, the training. Folks, if you don't have your human resources up to date with your employee handbooks, policy, and procedures, you need to. I'd be glad to talk to you about it. But the bottom line, when it's time to update that is not when you turn it in for evidence when you're getting sued. You agree?
I agree. Good point. Very good point. This news segment brought to us by Sitch Casket. We've got a quick promo from them.
Funeral Nation is sponsored by Sitch Casket. Sitch has changed everything for funeral homes facing declining profits from cremation, with casket quality equal to the top domestic brands but at half the cost or better. Enter now to win a free Sitch Casket at sitchcasket.com. Sitch, only your accountant can tell the difference.
Okay, Mr. Commander, super excited about our interview today because this is a topic that is super prevalent, and you deal with this topic quite a bit and are helping people change their life around this topic.
Yeah, we have Meghan Cowan from Live Oak Bank. She is absolutely a superb person to work with, and we're excited to have her on. So let's go ahead and roll that interview. Meghan, welcome to the Funeral Nation show. You're a first timer here, isn't that right?
First timer.
That's right. And from Live Oak, of course, there's Live Pines behind you.
Yes.
But Live Oak Bank. Yeah. I believe that's real because I know
that is real. That is real. I'll have to give you a little tour, a little spin here in a second.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you here today. We're also excited that you guys are one of our new sponsors here at Funeral Nation. Will you please introduce yourself to the FNers out here and tell us a little bit about what you do there and your experience with the bank?
Absolutely. So my name is Meghan Cowan. I'm a loan officer here at Live Oak, and I am focused in the funeral and cemetery profession. So all of my customers, all of my referral relationships are dedicated to the funeral and cemetery industries themselves. I work alongside funeral home and cemetery owners to evaluate funeral businesses and essentially establish a financing relationship to support their business ventures, their business endeavors.
Awesome.
Very cool. Well, Meghan, the Small Business Administration has made some changes to their lending specifications. Can you tell us what the most important ones are?
Yeah, so they did, they released a new standard operating procedure that went into effect on January 1st of this year, and it had a slew of revisions. Some of them were more like housekeeping type items, but the biggest one that's had the most discussion is around the change in equity requirements on acquisitions. They actually, what they did is they did away with the 500,000 goodwill threshold. So there's no threshold that you have to worry about within a purchase price anymore. And they reduced the equity requirement from 25% to 10%. However, one of the other changes they made is previously you could utilize seller equity to meet that full 25% equity requirement. And this version of the SOP, that seller equity is capped at 5%. So it's capped at half of the minimum equity requirement. And in order for it to actually qualify as equity, it has to be on full standby until the SBA note is repaid in full. So that theoretically, that places much more importance on cash equity from the buyer up front. So that's really getting the most airtime and has been the biggest change.
Right. So to help some of us out here with that don't use those terms a lot with equity, etc. So if we had a $1 million funeral home for sale, a buyer would essentially have to come up with $100,000 cash for the 10%, or the seller could hold back 5%, right, and cut that amount in half. However, that 5% cannot be paid until the note from the SBA is paid for in full, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Wow. Hey, y'all, listen to that. I was paying attention to you there, young.
Yeah, that was great regurgitation. So that's a big number. Those are big numbers, big dollar signs. So it really does put a lot more emphasis on preparation. Going into an acquisition scenario, buyers need to be prepared to bring some meaningful cash to the table. Now that cash can come in the form of checking, savings, cash that they have on hand. There are some IRA rollover options. So if they have retirement funds or IRA built up, there's some companies that will allow you to roll those over. Gifted funds are still an option. So if you've got family members or friends that kind of want to back you, there's just a requirement for no obligation of repayment. And then we're seeing a lot more minority owners. So minority kind of investors who are coming in and taking a small ownership stake in the business initially in exchange for funding a portion, if not all of that equity requirement.
Excellent. And that's, I was getting ready to ask you, how does this affect funeral professionals? From the seller side, you just shared most of that there are lots of options to come up with the 10%, that 401ks or savings, or even minority investors that come along. But from a seller side, that changed a little bit, who's eligible. Also that they have to really start grooming people if they're going to do some sort of succession plan or key person buyout.
Yes, exactly. And it does point to an emphasis on preparation and succession planning. So working with service providers in the space who can really come alongside those sellers and help prepare financials and help prepare purchase agreements. And then really, to your point, start grooming, if they have someone in mind, really start grooming them as far as what they're going to have to bring to the table. But, you know, we as a collective team can come together and really brainstorm some ways to make it work.
Good. That just happens to be the world I live in, as you well know, here at the Foresight Companies.
I do.
Ryan, I think you're up next with your question.
All right, Megan. So from your perspective, is now a good time to buy a funeral home or come into the business as an owner?
I think it is. We're seeing a ton of lead volume right now, especially in light of the changes in cremation rates and the emphasis that's being placed on memorialization and life celebration. There's a whole new generation of funeral home owners that are coming into the space that are young and vibrant and driven, and they're focused on this life celebrant role. I've really heard more and more lately that the funeral director role is really going to shift to more of an event planner role. So you're really coming alongside families to plan and execute a celebration more than a funeral. And there's a lot of exciting changes that come with that. We're seeing all kinds of event spaces and reception centers and chapels that allow families and friends to gather and really celebrate and memorialize their loved ones.
Excellent. Well, you know, certainly the bank is there available to expand and to create these things because, you know, if your funeral home still looks like Lily and Herman Munster's house, it's time maybe to put some new carpet in, get rid of those greens and mauves, you know, and quit putting throw rugs over top of the carpet. It's time.
Take the pews out. Give me a call. I know some people that have some money. We'll get it figured out.
That's right. Well, Megan, now comes the fun part. I happen to know quite a bit from being a down Easter myself. So I picked out some questions for you that are localized and some others will get to know you. So you ready for your lightning round?
I'm ready.
Okay. So Starbucks or Port City Java?
So I might get all kinds of backlash from Wilmingtonians, but I am a loyal Starbucks fan. I mean, their caramel macchiato, iced caramel macchiato on a summer day. Whew, there's nothing better than that.
Okay. Well, I'll argue that depending on the type libation that's in the cup, but I'll go with that here now that we're on live television.
I gotcha.
All right. So what's your favorite meal or restaurant?
I am a huge Mexican fan. I love any kind of taco, burrito, quesadilla, enchilada, anything Mexican related. I'm all for it. If I had to live on one food for the rest of my life, it would be tacos. One, because you could put anything in a taco.
I've got a place for you. You need to come out here to Phoenix. My favorite place is Two Hippies Tacos. Awesome.
It's on my list.
It's so sketchy looking. So sketchy looking.
Those are the best places.
That's
like where you're sitting right now, Ryan.
Yeah, right.
All right. So here's a tough one. Carolina or Wrightsville Beach?
Oh, I'm Wrightsville Beach. I mean, for better or for worse, I'm going to brave the parking and I'll be on Wrightsville. It's closer and more people go there, and that's me.
There you go. Favorite movie?
I am a You've Got Mail fan. Like Meg Ryan, Tom Hanks, The Christmas Feel, New York City, small little independent bookshop. Small business is probably a small business fan in me.
That's a good one. All right, finally, the big drum roll. We want to know, who's your celebrity crush?
So I've got some big shoes to fill for Live Oak on this question. It would be a cross between Bradley Cooper and John Krasinski, but as Jim from The Office.
Yeah.
And David Beckham.
Okay.
Just
wow.
mix all those together.
Trifecta.
All those That's kind of sound like you, Ryan.
Yeah,
you
a
know?
little bit.
Yeah. I fall back into the father's knows best crew, but anyway, for my age category. Well, Meghan, thank you for coming on. We're excited that Live Oak Bank is partnered with us here at Funeral Nation.
Yeah.
And the information you have is really valuable because the future of our industry depends on transitioning the ownership. And so you're a great part of that. I personally enjoy working with your team. I think we'll see some of you guys down in Florida soon as a group, Ryan and I.
Yeah.
So anyway, folks, if you need some money, Megan's the one to contact at Live Oak Bank. We'll have should have your email up there as well. So thank you for being here.
Thanks, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was a really good interview. What do you think, buddy?
Smooth. She did great. Good information too. Like, I mean, it's pretty in-depth topic, and I think I was pretty quiet, but you two broke it down into simple terms that a guy like me who has not played in that arena could completely understand. So solid. Yeah,
and the good thing, I've worked with Meghan and her team and Tim. They're sponsors of ours, but I work with them here at my day job, if you will, at Foresight Companies. Great people to work with. So speaking of which, that interview was brought to us by Live Oak. So let's run their promotion.
Live Oak Bank provides finance expertise that inspires funeral home and cemetery owners to grow their business and preserve their legacy. Their funeral home and cemetery lending team understands the profession from top to bottom. They know what business owners like you need to succeed, so they specialize in providing custom financial solutions accompanied by personal service. They're focused on helping you achieve your goals, no matter the challenges.
Awesome. Okay, so this WTF segment, what the funeral, this is really a what the funeral. Like, it's, I don't know if this is the definition of hot cremation.
There's so much that can be said for this particular topic.
And probably shouldn't be.
An adult entertainment store is now a crematory. So if you have a burning desire to be cremated, this is a wonderful place to go. And, I mean, while you're at the beach, things run hot, just get on in there, right?
Yeah, just get on in there.
It's the worst. The problem I have here is the humor is fantastic and it gives us a great laugh. Great. But what I'm concerned about is some people are going to utilize this place. I mean, literally. But hey, we're going to have to keep up with them. They're open 24 hours. So is going to be, I guess, a new crematory. We're going to follow up with them to see how it goes.
I think you hit the perfect tagline. Just get on in there.
I'm actually, for the sake of my long-term career, for once in my life, I have the right to remain silent, but not the ability. Yeah. I'm just going to leave that one alone for right now.
Good idea. All right. That wraps up episode 106. What do we got for 107? Is it secret?
107, I'm trying to get somebody from a veteran side to do some chatting about something they're doing special. We're going to have a pretty cool embalmer on in the next couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. So stay tuned. And guys, you know what? We've gotten great feedback, information from you. Send us questions about how to buy a funeral home. What do you want to do when you're going to sell your funeral home? We're the experts here. We just had an expert on sharing this with you. Unless you go to a seminar or hear what they do, you don't get to see that. Young folks, people who are wanting to buy funeral homes, reach out. Now's the time.
That's it. All right. You heard it from the commander. Email us, and let's have a conversation. Okay, Commander, until next time, have a great afternoon.
Out here.